If you lived or worked in downtown Hamilton in the 80s or the early 90s, you may recognize this woman. Margaret Jacobsen spent much of her life living on the street, and now her story is being told in a powerful new book by Denise Davy. And Denise joins us now with more on Her Name Was Margaret. Good morning, Denise. I remember myself seeing Margaret on the street. I didn't know her name was Margaret until I was reading some of your the pieces that you wrote, because at the time you were writing for the Hamilton Spectator, and that's how you met Margaret. Tell us about that.
Well, I've been doing a lot of stories on homelessness, but I was really focusing on sort of the statistics and studies, and I felt like I needed to put a face to the issue. So I talked my editor into allowing me to spend the night at the Wesley Center drop-in, which really got sort of the more chronically homeless, because that's what I wanted to capture. And I guess I was there for just a little bit, and I looked across the room and saw this tragically worn down woman, and I just thought, what happened to this person? How does that happen in a country like Canada? I knew I had to talk to her.
Mm-hmm. And after talking to her, and she signed over a sheet releasing her medical documents to you, so you got to see the background of that. But it's amazing, like, how her life began and how it ended. So there's just some of the documents there that you had to go through for this.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. She was born in Barbados. Her parents were actually Canadian Pentecostal missionaries, and so that was way back in 1944. She started developing. That's her brother David and John, brothers. And she started developing symptoms, hallucinating, auditory hallucinations when she was about 15 or 16. And they actually subjected her to electroshock treatments at the age of 15, and it was horrific for her. She never forgot it. And at the age of 16, her parents decided to move back to Ontario, and they settled in Galt, which is now Cambridge. And shortly after, at the age of 18, she was admitted to the Ontario Hospital, which became the Hamilton Psychiatric Hospital.
Mm-hmm. And she was kind of a victim of a mass deinstitutionalization, if that is the correct word, because people were in hospital, and then the government of the day decided, okay, it's too expensive here to have all these people housed, so we're going to put them into boarding houses, which are now second-level lodging homes, and we're going to have other people take care of them, and we'll pay for that. And
Exactly.
it might have been a great idea, but it hasn't worked.
It has not worked, and it was really just a massive betrayal to people who have a mental illness then and now. And that's what I wanted to get across in my point, is this, that people today are still paying the price, because Margaret essentially went from 24/7 around-the-clock care in the hospital to a rooming house where the operator knew nothing often about mental illness or anything. One boarding house would serve cold cereal and water for breakfast, essentially let all the residents out into the street at 9 o'clock and shut in the morning and lock the door. And then they'd come back at 5 and, squeeze them into beds. And it was all just a money-making operation. So the supports that were supposed to be transferred and the money used from the hospital bed closures to build supports in the community never happened. And people are still paying the price today.
Mm-hmm. Because you think about how many, as I was reading the book, I'm like, how many Margarets are there out there?
Exactly. Yeah. In fact, that's what happened. Is I did put the book aside for a little bit, and then when I decided to revisit it, I actually went to interview Brother Richard McPhee from Good Shepherd Center, who has been working in this area for so long. And I said to him, listen, are there Margarets still on the street today? And his eyes sort of popped out and said, absolutely. In fact, it's worse. And that was about 5 years ago or so. And that's when I got back into it and really did a deep dive and looked at the whole system, and also the number of mentally ill people who are among the homeless population. People are not aware of that. It's really tragic.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a beautifully sad story, and I'm so glad that you've rewritten it to get people talking, and that's what you want to do. So congratulations on the book launch. It's available now. I saw you unpacking the books yesterday. So it's available now at local bookstores and also at the Hamilton Public Library. So Denise, congratulations on this.
Thank you so much,
Good
Annette.
work.
Thanks.
Lean on me.